afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to get this meeting started, so call to order the meeting of the Nest Golf Club annual meeting for 2025. Let me start by introducing the Board of Governors, beginning with the officers: Wayne Bauman, President; George Hamilton, Vice President; Nancy Loomis, Secretary; Jim Sates, Treasurer; Mike Bigford; Dennis Burke; Judy Greenberg; Sarah Hadley, and Alan Sheets. Thank you all for your service and leadership. Now, and now I'll turn the meeting over to Nancy Loomis for quorum status and votes.
Good afternoon, everyone. I will start by telling you that there are sufficient votes that have been cast to constitute a quorum for the transaction of business today. As to the budget votes, the capital budget was approved by 84.3%. The operating budget was approved by 82.2%. The individuals who were elected to the Board of Governors for a 3-year term are, in alphabetical order, Wayne Bauman, Steve Ringsdorf, and Alan Sheets. Congratulations. I would now like to call on our current president, Wayne Bauman, to make some remarks. Thank you.
Welcome, everybody. Good turnout again this year. If I remember last year, it was pretty close to the same, or maybe we're even a little bit bigger this year. So thank you for participating. I got through my first year as president. We've had some challenges, but boy, did I learn some appreciation for what it takes to run this club, how the staff members work, and I really became even more passionate about being here with everybody. So really have enjoyed it. Congratulations, Steve Ringsdorf, our newest member of the Nest board. Welcome, Steve. I thought you were here somewhere. He's in Portugal. I thought I saw him walk in. Well, he's still here, or still on the board. Alan Sheets and I are grateful to be back on the board. We've got more things to do, so we're grateful to be back for another 3-year term. Rosemary Jones, we appreciate you running. We really appreciate all you've done for us over the years on the social committee and all the planning that you do. We know you're behind a lot of the bigger parties that we have going, so thank you very much for that. I'd like to thank Sarah Hadley. She will be stepping down from the board, but Sarah worked her tail off over the last number of years, especially during our period when we did not have a GM here for 4 months. Sarah spent so many hours working with everybody. You wouldn't even understand how much effort she put in. So thank you very much, Sarah. It has been a year of pretty significant change, as many of us know. Steve Malvini, we're so glad you didn't introduce yourself, but I think everybody knows Steve by now. But Steve Malvini is probably in his 8th or 9th month, and it's just been a pleasure working with Steve. He's jumped into a busy season. He stuck with his commitment to utilize our existing staff and work with them. With that, we were able to promote Mary Lee, Cheryl, Erica in the food and beverage, and Kellen David as the first assistant. So we've been able to move people up that are already working here, and that was the plan when we got on board with Steve. So thanks for that. We then got challenged with hiring a new chef when Chef Joe retired right at the prime part of the season, and did a great job to go on in a very short time frame to work through a list of candidates and get Chef James in here. And I don't know if Chef James is back in the kitchen or down there. So welcome aboard, Chef James. So this year coming up, there's this kind of one piece of sad news we'd like to share, and that is Debbie Lohan is going to retire in October. I know.
Good for you,
Where's
Debbie.
Where is she? Everybody knows Debbie. So Debbie, thanks for all you've done for all this stuff, especially transitioning with us, transitioning with Steve Malvini and with the staff. So it's been wonderful. So thank you. It's always great. I think it's an honor when somebody gets to retire. I know how much I enjoyed it, and I know you're going to enjoy it as well. Our board and our staff are committed to our mission and our values and our guiding principles. We stress to be a premier private club, to provide exceptional golf, dining, and member experiences, and to be respectful of all of our members, guests, and staff. I do have a concerning item, though, is a number of us have seen quite an uptick in how we're treating staff, members, guests, and our facilities, golf courses and such. Let's put out a reminder that we don't need to pull in the actions of whether you're political one side or the other, what's going on with the PLCA, or any other things that are going on in this world. Remember, in here, we're bound by a little different set of rules. We need to be nice to each other. If you have issues, you know who to reach out to, and do it respectfully, so we'd appreciate that. A few things I've learned in the last year is, man, our ladies have fun. You ladies out there for the golf, you know, that got more involved in seeing how you put things on is just phenomenal. So the ladies that participate and lead some of these events, it's really phenomenal. The guys are boring, everybody knows it, but when it comes down to the ladies' events, it is fun to see. So I've learned a lot more respect over time. I've had to lean on some very senior members here, some of the founding members, for some of their advice and guidance. So I've really learned to respect that over the past year. Even so much that tomorrow we'll have, I don't know if we've done it before, Debbie, or not, but we're doing our first 30-year appreciation cocktail hour for members who have been here 30 years or more. So that's a pretty big deal. Our committee chairs and committees continue to work hard. They're the meat of a lot of what goes on here, even though the staff have great ideas and carry things out. But this is really a committee-led club, where the committees are out and about. They've got the feel for all of us as members. They help things, they help manage issues, they help plan for new things, and we should all really respect our committees. If you have interest to get on a committee, talk to one of the committee chairs that will be announced in the next week, and let them know you're interested to get on a committee. I'd like to introduce our first committee chair, Judy Greenberg. She's on the facilities committee. We'll have each facilities committee go through and give you a little recap, a little report. So we'll hear from each committee chair as they come up and introduce their committees. Thank you, Judy.
Good afternoon. So a year ago, I joined the board and was given the facilities committee. And anybody who knows me knows that I know nothing about facilities. Fortunately, I had an amazing committee to work with. And that is Dave Bertonson. Oh, please stand up if you're here. Dave Bertonson, Ed Bocard, Doug Burnside, Bill Collins, Jana Fetters, Alicia Shearer, and Mike Strasser. Okay. So on the details of what we've done this year, I'm going to let Steve handle that. But I want to say that the committee worked very hard this year. There was a lot going on, a lot got accomplished, and a special shout out to Chris King, our facilities manager, who has been everywhere all day, all the time, 7 days a week. So thank you very much. And now Steve is going to talk to you about all the details.
Thank you. The committee does an absolute fabulous job, so I'm really pleased to take over and be able to finish up some of these projects. Over the past year, we've achieved and finished up several projects. We're still working on some. So right now, we finished up the halfway house restroom, which we're given a much needed upgrade. We were able to close that out. Still have a little smell we're trying to deal with, but we're going to get it. The hurricane restroom feasibility and cost analysis. I know I've been asked this several times. You know, are we going to build the hurricane restroom? And I've been given ideas on what to do there. We conducted the feasibility study. We went and got a scope and a budget, and the initial budget came in about 1.2 to 1.3 million. So we've put that on the way back burner. It's not something that we're going to proceed with now. The ongoing projects, which you know we'll see, you see the clubhouse roof is on budget and on schedule, probably a little bit early. We hope to finish the roof by May 31st. Main entry doors, we finished the north and south entrance doors, and we're in the process, hopefully by the end of this month, to have, now it seems like the beginning of April, to have the main entry doors in and installed. The main entry signs at the front of the facility, we are putting in 2 new signs. They are still in the permitting process, so they keep coming back and forth to us with how they should be permitted, should they be separate signs, so that we're still in process. As soon as we get those permits, we're going to be in construction, and we should be able to finish that before you get back. Another project we're working on budgets is the back patio area and retaining wall. We're working on scope and budget for this project to really enhance that area. You notice that area is slowly but surely deteriorating. We're having issues with the walls and pavers and steps in that area. Locker room, restroom refresh. We'll be getting started on that as soon as we finish putting the finishing touches on the budget. We do have a placeholder of $425,000 for both the ladies and men's locker room restrooms. We're going to be doing paint, tile floors, walls, fixtures, vanities, and moving a few things in the shower areas. It should be just a refresh project. They're going to talk a little bit more about this in one of the other committee reports, but the golf course irrigation water supply expansion, we're working with RWA, our engineering firm, to analyze the lakes. Jason will give a little bit more update on that project, but it happens to be a part of both committees. Then the final project that we'll be working on also, hopefully this summer, is the clubhouse landscape and lighting improvement. That's for once the roof was finished, the landscape in the front of the building and towards the sides. We're waiting some of the back until we decided what we're going to do with this back area. For this summer, we have some new projects. We're going to be working on the parking lot improvements. We'll be putting in new sign and signposts. We'll be seal coating the parking lot and then restriping the area, so it'll be well lined, relined, and well marked. We had some problems with some of our parking blocks, so we'll replace some of those as some of those have deteriorated. We're going to be replacing, we have 2 generators at the clubhouse, so we're going to be replacing 2 generators with one. We had an issue with one of them, and one of them is up for replacement, so we're going to combine to have 1 generator that'll be finished this summer. And then in the mangrove room, we had issues with water from the roof. So we're going to be replacing the sound insulation along with a lot of the molding in there that has expanded and has gotten damaged over the last 2 years. That is it for the projects. Thank you for your continual support. Chris King, thank you for the work that you do and for another great year. Appreciate it. Next up is Golf Course and Grounds Committee Chair Alan Sheets.
Thank you, Steve. I'd like to introduce my committee. If you happen to be here, please stand. Art Batson, Steve Gallant, Vince Lavelle, Diane Maddox, Gary Polipnik, Sylvia Schaff, and Bob Travers. So over the past year or so, we've completed quite a few projects and renovations at the club, and this coming summer we have a couple more improvements planned, and with that I'm going to let Jason Zimmerman review what we've done and what we have planned for you. Jason?
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everybody. Debbie, you want to just, I'll just stay next. There's only 3 slides, so by the time I walk over and get it, we'll sit down. Compliments for this year. First of all, obviously, we did the regrassing of the Bimini Bermuda on the hurricane course. We widened hurricane number 1 tee box. I made that actually about 3 times wider, so it's turned out really, really nice, and also added some beautification to that. Cleaning out the invasives between 11 and 17, that had been a big project that we've had to endeavor for a while now. We finally got with Jan Beljan, got all that stuff cleaned out of there, put some trees in, did some beautification, so I think that came out really, really nice. I skipped over, but replaced some trees on Gator 11. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute, but we've lost a lot of key trees since 2017, Irma, really. So we put some in there. Overlaid all the cart path asphalts instead of doing a little bit at a time, whatever we can afford. We were able to do both courses in the same summer, so at least we have some uniformity there. And then also replace the shells with some crushed greens. The bridge on 12, after Ian, we had the bridge, and Milton, well, and Helene. We had the bridge itself inspected. The bridge foundation's fine, but everything else needed to be replaced. So we actually added new stringers along both sides, and then replaced the decking and the new railing. And then adopted the USG a GS3 ball. Has anybody heard of that? Yeah. So it's kind of new. It's been out a little over a year, and they've had a lot of kinks to work out. The USGA, we were actually one of the first courses to receive it. So, and they've just now come out with some data parameters. So what it is, it takes a whole bunch of data. And the Deacon app, you can actually put in weather stations. I mean, you can add GPS to it. So it's really sophisticated stuff, which is great. But what we're doing right now, we're tracking speed, smoothness, trueness, and firmness. So we do each course 3 to 4 times a week, and everything is done on an iPad, track it, and we can look where we are week to week, month to month, and we discuss it as a committee. So fortunately, as the parameters came out through the USGA, we stayed inside those parameters so far. So something we'll track, and as we learn more, probably maybe in the fall, we'd like to do maybe a demonstration with the membership. So it's pretty cool stuff. Course beautifications, we're continuing that. We started on the first and 10th tees. Mrs. Maddox, if you could please stand again. And I don't know how many volunteers are here. Do you have? Okay, please stand if you've been volunteering. You guys are all over the course. I can't find you. So every time we come around, so a lot of members and residents have been donated plants, succulent plants, bromeliads, things like that. And we've been putting them in certain areas around the course just to give it a little pop. So that's going to continue as well. And then the tree nurseries. Again, I mentioned tree lossage. Well, since Irma in 2017, we lost over 1,800 pines. Most of them did not go down that day. A lot of them went to either salt spray, they got spun by the 150-mile-an-hour winds, or being submerged. So that's something we're really focusing on, and getting better water quality over the years. We have been able to put some pines in. They've been successful. So now we're taking these nursery areas and we're going to start popping those ones in and trying to start repopulating these areas that have lost so many trees. Goals for this next fiscal year. If you haven't played Gator Front 9 lately, we've already started, as you're aware. Back 9 actually they were on number 15 when I got up here. So we're doing the back 9 now. May 5th, we will go to 27 holes. So the front 9 will start to be prepped for grassing. And then as of May 12th, sorry Chalk, I stole some of your thunder. By May 12th, we'll only be going to 18 holes. So we are going to do quite a bit of reshaping on the Gator tees. A lot of Gator, as you know, was part of the original course. It was not designed for 62,000 rounds. So taking the opportunity to change the grass with Jan, our architect, we're going to go ahead and the committee, we're going to go ahead and reshape quite a few tees on the Gator course. Lake bank restoration, this is something that's going to be moving forward, and strategic planning as well. Lake banks are just continuing to cave in. So right now we are putting a bulkhead on Hurricane 5. We don't want to lose any more land there before the green and collar goes in. So we are going to bulkhead from the corner of the lake all the way past the green, and then we're going to do an erosion sock from that corner all the way to the perimeter. So that lake on our property will be stabilized. We got a couple areas in Hurricane 9 that have really fallen off as well, so we're going to do the move to those. And then moving probably the next 3 to 5 years, we've got a lot of lake banks to restore. So that's going to be on a priority list as well. Continued beautification of both courses. I mentioned trees earlier, so Jan, we spent a full day with her last week. The committee came up with 4 key areas as of now. We've lost some major trees, so not going to make the course any harder. But a lot of these are trees that were focal points and were turning and block views of homes and things like that. So that's something we're working on this summer as well. And then continuing acquisition. So it was one of the questions that come up in the Q&A, so I'm just going to kind of give you a quick summary now. Our new engineering firm, I met with the hydrogeologist on Friday. So if you recall the first phase last year, we put in a valve, so not only when we're blending, we can actually be filling that lake. Well, I'm happy to say as of January of 2024, we put in 60 million gallons of reclaimed water instead of highly salt and contaminated well water. So that's made a huge difference for us. Ultimate goal is to get 800,000 gallons a day. Right now we're getting about 400,000 coming to blending in the lake. So the next step we're working on is, do we need to line the lake? If you recall last year we put in a large number aside to see if we need to line the lake. We had to switch engineering firms. So now we're back to that. Hopefully within the next 30 days we will have an answer of, do we need to spend a lot of money to line that lake? It is no longer required, it's recommended. So that's what we're trying to figure out, is how much water are we losing as we're paying water to dump in. So once we get that answer, that will let us know if we need to spend money on lining the lake. And then ultimately it's going to be isolating that irrigation lake behind Hurricane 6, Gator 7, Gator 3. And if we do that, then we're going to have to create some dry retention areas according to South Florida Water Management permitting. So we are moving forward. The timeline was asked. Hopefully, again, in the next 30 days, we'll know about the lake lining, and then that will give us a direction where we want to go. Thank you all for your attention. Both stand and introduce Chaw. Come on up, Joe.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here today. I know we haven't introduced ourselves, but my name is Chaw Tet. I am proud to be a director of golf at this wonderful club. We call it the Nest. I'm in my second season as a director of golf, and during my relatively short tenure at the Nest, I've had the pleasure of working with very engaged and involved members of the Golf Activities Committee, chaired by Mike Bigford. Particularly this season, as a group, we continue to layer the bricks to build a solid foundation in many areas of the golf committees for our members to enjoy. With that, I would like to acknowledge and thank the following members of the Golf Activities Committee for their time and effort. I know some of you are here in the crowd today. Sue Mendenhall, Liz Turnbull, Corey Ryder, Rich Fetters, Chris Callahan, Kathy Capozzi, Jane Havard, Sue Daly, Scott Todd, Steve Ringsdorf, and Chairman Michael Bigford. Give them a round of applause. The committee's mission simply is to consistently provide exceptional golf experience for all members and guests. It promises to provide enjoyable golf programs, oversee golf policies, ensure objective alignments with other departments and committees, deliver these policies and information to all members in a transparent manner. Over the next few moments, I'll share with you a high-level overview of key data points, an update on the committee's accomplishments based on last season's goals, and what's next on the horizon. This fiscal year will conclude with rounds just shy of 60,000 at approximately 59,289 rounds. 15.5% of this number came from guest rounds. Although the total annual number of rounds was slightly down from last year, the 3-year trend suggests that the number of rounds has been increasing. It's also worth noting that rounds generated from November through April account for approximately 80% of total annual rounds, highlighting the seasonality of the club. I've selected to highlight the top 4 items from a list of achievements from this year. Surveys, feedback, and data points were used to highlight these accomplishments. First, we acquired new golf cart fleet. We researched, acquired, and implemented to enhance your playing experience. And also through collaboration with the membership committee, we were able to raise the level of awareness and engagement among new members, particularly during the onboarding stages. Something I am very proud of is the increase in the participation levels year over year for our annual golf events. In the ladies' events, we saw an increase of 11%, followed by the men's and couples at 13% and 15% respectively. I attribute this success to better planning, more frequent communication, strategized marketing campaign, and better overall execution. Last, certainly not least, we experienced a remarkable 5% increase in tea time utilization year over year. This means that our members are more efficient in using the available tea times. Pacer play has always been a popular topic in the industry and will remain to be one as long as the game exists. As we continue to prioritize Pacer play, I'm pleased to report that we maintain an average Pacer play well under the 4-hour mark. As you see on the graph, during the peak months, Hurricane played at 3 hours and 52 minutes, and Gator at 3 hours and 56 minutes. Gator tends to take a few minutes longer on average because it has an extra par 5 and a few more opportunities to visit the halfway house and the restrooms. Overall, we should take pride in our Pacer play at the Nest. And as my favorite line goes, play well, play fast, play poorly, play faster. Heading into next season, the Golf Activities Committee will conduct a thorough review of necessary adjustments of our tournament hard card, event-specific information like the rules of engagement, and of course our combo tees. Furthermore, the committee will seek to enhance various services and programs, notably the practice facilities, golf shop and merchandising, player development program, and locker room services and amenities. And of course, additional initiatives will be based on your feedback from your year-end member survey. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for taking the time to be here and listening to my report. Next up, with our Finance Committee Chair, Mr. Jim Seitz.
Thank you, Cheryl. Appreciate it. Good afternoon, everyone. Some very talented and dedicated club members decided to serve on the Finance Committee again with me this year, and I want to recognize each of them. If you're here, when I mention your name, please stand up. The Finance Committee members this year included Ray Bill, Diane Citron, Michael Lecquier, Michael's here for sure, Roger Morgan, and Bob Seaves. And I think it's important for everyone to understand that these people really spent a lot of time and contributed greatly to the Finance Committee efforts this year to sort of reinvent some of the processes that we normally go through. And it's also important to note that our collective commitment as a committee to the integrity of the financial process, the diligent oversight of finance functions, matches completely with the values that are held by the staff members that we have in our finance department and the standards that were set a long time ago by the board policy and practice. Next slide there. The purpose of the committee is to provide oversight, direction, and assistance to the finance department on a variety of very important functions, including financial reporting, the preparation of operating and capital budgets, which you just thankfully approved, planning and funding for strategic initiatives, internal control and bylaws, compliance, audit, tax, and banking relationships, human resource matters, insurance coverage, including liability, health insurance, and property and casualty insurance, and then finally club technology needs. We're also very fortunate to have experienced and dedicated staff members managing all of those functions on a day-to-day basis, all being led by our controller, Tim Morris, who will now introduce his talented staff and provide a brief review of the club's current financial picture and address some of our future strategic initiatives. So Tim, please come on up.
Thank you, Mr. Seitz. I'd like to start by acknowledging some of our staff. You probably know most of them. Matt Zielinski started out in food and beverage as a bartender. He is now moving up to as our HR director. He's still the assistant controller. He's one of those guys that just does it all. Brandy Shipley, member billing, accounts payable. I would refer to her as the go-to person. If you need it done, you go to Brandy. We're also stealing from food and beverage again. Silas Pacheco, probably know him as a server. He's, a couple weeks ago, he started in accounting, working on inventory control, point of sale. His knowledge of technology, if you look at his resume, wow, it's impressive. So I'm very appreciative. They make me look good, and you folks, you have a great accounting staff, so I truly appreciate that. So we'll go to the next slide. We'll get into all the financial information. Gonna do it a little different. We're gonna talk cash. We're gonna talk the three cash funds that we have. You always hear operating, capital, restricted. You know, what does it mean? What goes into it? What do we use the funds for? And there's one ratio that you've probably heard 100 times, and that's equivalent membership. Everything we do financially is done in terms of equivalent membership. So one full golf member is an equivalent membership. Social member pays 30%, so they're 0.3. So every time you hear a total equivalent membership, it's just the aggregate of all those weighted membership types added together. So it's pretty straightforward, but it just wanted to clarify. And that does go through the operating, capital, and restricted funds that we have. Operating, self-explanatory. This year, our dues per equivalent membership were $13,000. With the approval of this year's budget, that goes to $13,975. That is the dues from our equivalent memberships. That is the largest source of income that we have. Added to that, cart fees, greens fees, merchandise, the food and beverage make up our total budgeted revenues. And then obviously the expenses, any non-capital operating type expenses are what we use that cash for. And ultimately our budget, a successful year for us, is a break-even budget. Going into capital, this hasn't changed for a couple of years. This last year we had $1,850 for capital dues for each equivalent membership. That is staying the same for the upcoming fiscal year. And the use of that is the replacement of recurring capital items. We always call those, non-major, capital replacements. And the bylaws divide that at $500,000. So we're bringing in about $1.2 million in revenue. So some of the really big projects, the roof above us, $3 million. And as we get to restricted, we'll explain how that was funded also. The restricted funds are sources of cash there. The monthly debt and rental assessments that you all pay equate to $2,700 per year per equivalent membership, and the sale of full golf equity sales are the cash that comes in for that. We use those funds to service our three bank loans. Those will all mature by the end of 2026. Little carryover to 27, but our goal is to pay everything off by the calendar year at the end of 2026. And also equity payouts. We had 3 equity payouts to the original Equity A memberships this year. So we had those paid out. That's on a 4-to-1 payout. And then project funding for major projects, anything $500,000 or more. Okay. The next slide is what's happening this year. This fiscal year, we're ending on March 31st. The budget was initially approved at $13.76 million in revenues. At the end of February, we are currently $100,000 favorable to budget. Lots of moving parts, lots of line items up and down, but the 3 significant items that really lead to that $100,000, we had some unfilled positions in golf, some staff changing in food and beverage, so there's some savings there. And then also PLCA, we received some special assessments for the hurricane damage. So We have recorded that. We're looking into the club's obligation of it. If we make any changes to the accounting there, it only gets better for us. But right now we are looking to carry over $100,000 in surplus at the end of the year. And I'll touch on it later, but I want to make note that what we call below the line sales of non-equity memberships, which really is the social memberships. We had $500,000 in sales this fiscal year in social memberships. Next slide, please. The operating cash reserves, how is it generated, our current levels, uses for it. Currently, we have $2.5 million in operating cash reserves. Those are generated, we talked about the two things, the surpluses or deficits, the combination of those make up any potential surpluses, and then the sale of the non-equity social sales, which really, over the past couple of years, has been the biggest contributor to increasing our operating cash reserves. So what do we use that for? This last year we rolled out our cart fleet. We've all seen the cost of products going up. Each cart, going up 30%. We just did Jason's package. There were pieces of equipment that were going up 45% because you do it and then you lock in your prices for 4 or 5 years. Well, this past 4 or 5 year period, prices have increased substantially. So the approach was we had strong working capital, so we took $600,000 of the working capital to buy down the lease. This allowed us to, as we built this last year's budget, to manage the increase. We understand that $1,000 increase is not little, but by doing this, we were able to keep it from being even worse. So that was one of the approaches. Irma, Ian, each storm had debris cleanup of trees, bringing in these big companies. Those were about $300,000 for each of those cleanups. And then ultimately, what's not covered under our insurance or deductibles with our win percentages, it can be pretty substantial. Right now, we estimated about $1.8 million. So if we were able to, if we had something catastrophic happen, being able to self-fund some of that without going out to the membership for assessments, that we're always cognizant of, people ask, why do you hold so much? But those are the types of things that, when we don't have to come to the membership continuously for those types of things, it really says a lot about the need for keeping those. Let's go on to the next one, Debbie, please. This year's operating budget shows a $975 increase per equivalent membership, which brings our income up to 15.1. Excuse me. It's based on 666 equivalent memberships. The adjustments to revenue, obviously the big adjustment is the $975 per equivalent membership. Also, there is the addition of the Full Golf 85 program. The board in January approved 27 new memberships where a little bit less rights than a Full Golf member, but they're paying 85%. They get one day advanced tee times. We have the benefit of that for January, February, March, but we have built that into next year's budget, and it generates a substantial amount of cash, which again helped to keep our dues increase down. So the board and membership marketing really came up with a good idea to help to manage costs. Last year with the new fleet, we also increased the cart fees. That didn't take effect until we received it. We're not planning on, at this time, increasing the cart fees, but we will have the benefit of the full year of the increased cart fee. So that will generate some additional income. Also, the $100,000 that we're planning on finishing this year with surplus, we are using that to balance the budget and keep the dues increase a little bit Adjustments to expenses. A lot of changes to Jason's package rolled out. You know, the expenses for chemicals, fertilizer, the water we're purchasing, every other department, just their individual line items. We're still seeing, you know, the increases, not the percentages that we've seen in the past years, but the largest one you probably noticed on the handout when you were asked to vote for the budget was the payroll. That had an increase of 15%. The average increase to all employees is 3 to 4%. And the other factors that go into it, we have staffing increases in the kitchen. With the arrival of James, he has a vision. You know, we've gone to the compensation committee, you know, explained what those positions are, and they did approve the addition of staff for next year. Jason is always fighting, trying to find golf course equipment operators to bring on staff. We're finally at a rate, the starting rate that allows us to attract some of them. Not a lot of them, but 2 or 3 have been added to next year's budget, moving them from, right now we use a lot of temp laborers, and you know, that's not ideal. We want people on payroll that, you know, committed to the nest, even though we have some long-term temps. You know, that's a better scenario. Increases in health costs, and then all of those things together, the taxes and insurances on top of that, that's where we get to the 15%. So that's our biggest challenge this year is to cover, bring our level of service up, the cost of it, and you know, attracting and retaining qualified individuals. The next slide is the capital activity for this year. Again, $1,850 per equivalent membership. Total for this fiscal year, total budgeted spending. We generated $1.2 million in capital dues, but our budget was $5.7 million. Going back to the operating capital restricted, any project 500,000 or more, we do have to, in years past, we relied on bank borrowings. Now that we're building our cash reserves, the restricted account was able to fund beyond the $1.2 million that we're bringing in capital dues. So we were able to replace the roof, not go out to the membership for any assessments. We did no additional borrowings with the banks, so we were able to cover a lot of expenses there. Fiscal year 26, again, no dues increase. The total spending budgeted is 2.8, which is a combination of capital dues, some carryover money. Jason talked about the reclaimed water. We're still in the engineering phase. That $500,000 that was budgeted this year will be carried forward to future years, and then we'll figure out what the total project cost will be. And the restricted cash activity, next page. Currently, we are sitting on $9.5 million of capital / restricted cash. A lot of money. It's great to have that, but some of the things that go into that, the additions for this year, for equity additions, full golf sales, $4.7 million. We were able to pay down $2 million in bank loans, pay out $300,000 in equity payouts, but right now the status of the roof, we paid $1 million against roughly $3 million, so we still have $2 million. So that'll be in the short term. That you're probably talking 90 to 120 days that will all be paid out, and a portion of the restricted is going to fund the capital budget. So we are in good shape. We talked about some of the projects beyond what we're currently obligated to. The reclaimed water. There's other projects that are being considered, and those could carry a pretty substantial price tag. And that leads to my last slide. Where do we go from here? We know currently what our short-term obligations are. We are in the process, and we do have a draft of a reserve setting. That's going to tell us expected lives, at the end of those expected lives, what the future costs will be. So we will know how much money we really should have set aside. In addition to that, the Strategic Planning Committee is receiving submissions from all the committees and their larger projects, the costs associated with those. So those things folded together, you know, we get an idea of what our cost needs are. Then we look at, you know, the equity sales. You know, full golf 85% program, you know, that was great. We brought in a lot of cash. But as we move all those people into full golf, there's only 15% left to capture from that. So we, you know, probably the next 12 to 15 months, unless we keep backfilling a lot of them, it probably will slow down a little bit. But what we're looking to do is create a 5-year cash projection. We've actually been doing it for quite a few years, but we're getting a lot more detailed. We're also coming up on the end of our bank loans, end of 26. One of them bleeds into 27, but the committee's talked about it's just we want to pay them off by the end of 26. So we should be debt-free by the end of 26. At the end of November, the approval of all the monthly assessments will expire because those are voted on by the membership and they were voted on for a 5-year period. So we will be able to come to you, show what cash is needed and, you know, the projects that you want to approve and how can we pay for it. You know, does it require an additional bank? Does it require the addition of the monthly assessments in some form? You know, those are the answers I guess only you folks can answer with, you know, information from finance and the board. So that's where we're headed, and we will, you know, we're working on it. We've started doing the quarterly finance updates, Mr. Seitz and I. We try to put together some information for what's going on. This obviously will be a big part of what we do this summer. So that's all I have. The next presentation, Mrs. Hadley for Dining and Social. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'd like to just take this opportunity to thank all the members for your support as I was serving on the board of Dining and Social. It was greatly appreciated that members were behind everything we were doing. And it's been an honor to serve you. I'd like to now extend a big thank you to our food and beverage staff and our new management team. This is the first year they've all been working together. Chef James is here, Mary Lee, and Cheryl and Erica are not available. Is that correct? But I think we all know what a great job they've been doing. And we couldn't have all the events and planning without my committee, so if you're here, please stand. Brenda Alsfeld, Lenita Fuchs, Barbara Gerstenlauer, Judy Greenberg, Rosemary Jones, and Anna Nelligan. Their hard work and their enthusiasm is really what led to so many successful events. So I truly appreciated how much work my committee put into this past year. Next slide. The next slide, last year we said we'd be focusing on our strategic plan and activities would be focused on what the members wanted from the survey, and we came up with a list, and as you can see, we really met the goals that we'd set. We completed a pricing study with other clubs in the area and investigated menu options utilizing your feedback. A new schedule of buffets were added, more variety, some ethnic themes, a lot of new ideas thanks to our new chef. We worked with finance and the golf committees to establish an event pricing for golf and dining events. And also, again, in collaboration with Membership in Golf, we created a program, an ambassador program, that would help integrate new members into the club. We increased food and beverage sales through additional events and private parties. We obtained a wine package license to enhance our wine program. So many thanks to Steve for getting that process completed. We created new social activities and increased ways to communicate information to our members. Mary Lee will now continue with the rest of the food and beverage presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. It's my pleasure to speak to you today about the exciting updates and achievements of the food and beverage team. Our commitments remain strong to you to enhance every member's experience here at the club. So it's not just a place for you to visit, but it's also a place for you to enjoy and savor. Beyond our too many golf events, we will be adding additional fun social events to our calendar, like the fashion show, the Ladies Pearl Luncheon, the wine dinners, the wine tastings, cooking demonstrations with Chef James and Jose. The cigars, bourbon, and steak night has been very popular. We'll be adding those probably monthly. Mixology classes for everyone that loves a good cocktail. Outdoor events like the Oktoberfest we'll be having in the fall. Music bingo, game nights. We'll be adding several more events like that for more fun and exciting evenings. And we will be having live music every Friday night throughout the year, not just in season. Keeping the atmosphere lively like it is now. It's a lot of energy in the club. In addition to these events, we're enhancing our service of the new buffets with new equipment to elevate the presentation and the experience. We're also strengthening our training program for all the positions that we have to ensure that you have a top-tier service for all the members. I'm pleased to announce that all of the H2B servers have committed to coming back next year. We're very excited about that, so all 11 of them will be returning, bringing us continuity and excellence to our team. Lastly, I want to thank our staff as well. Mrs. Hadley, what a great year we've had with you and the committee. Cheryl, Erica, Tony, James, Jose, and the entire food and beverage team for their hard work and their dedication and for delivering an outstanding season. Here's to another exceptional year ahead. We appreciate all of you. Thank you very much. I'd like to introduce the Membership and Marketing Committee Chair, Mr. Dennis Burke.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to see everybody here. This is my 19th year as a member of the Nest, and when I listen to all the reports that have just been put forth, financial, food and beverage, I can tell you it always hasn't been that way. We have had some difficult years, and I can tell you right now that in the final analysis, we've been rich and we've been poor, and rich is better. Part of the reason that we are so-called rich is because of, there's a great demand, a lot of popularity of Southwest Florida, something about the COVID thing, everything increased. But a lot of it also accrues to the work that was done over the years. And I noticed that Ed Milliken is here and Nick Spain is here, two past presidents. I'm not sure if anyone else past presidents are here, but if they are, let me know. Because part of the reason that our job in membership is a little easier than it has been is because of the investment and the devotion and the commitment to excellence that people like Ed and Nick were committed to, and their boards over the years. So I want to thank you guys for making my job. You can see my committee consists of Vicki Bezzaretti, Vicky's done a terrific job on the ambassador program. She decided to switch committees, so she won't be moving forward with us, but she's done a fantastic job. Also, Chris Ciceri, I think, Chris, you're here, aren't you? Where's Chris? Yeah, thank you, Chris. And Kevin Kuehl. I don't see Kevin out in the audience. Oh, there's Kevin, sorry, back there. Don Lieb, Don Rauno, Bob Loomis, better known for his spouse. What's his name? And of course, Debbie Lohan and AJ Szymanski. AJ has some personal issues today that he had to deal with his family, and he couldn't be here. So if you go on to our next slide, we are benefiting from a lot of the good things that have happened, but as I said, a lot of the good things that people like Ed and Nick did down through the years. But our job is to ensure adequate levels of membership. Our job is to develop marketing materials and marketing strategy to ensure pipeline of membership and to maintain categories of membership that reflect the best interests of the club. Right now, we've tried to consolidate a lot of the categories. You know, sometimes it just gets a little too complicated, and so we've been working just to try to keep it simple so we don't lose track of people. Beyond that, Debbie's going to take over and give you some membership numbers and sales numbers. But as it was announced, she's going to be retiring, and this presents a particular problem for me because she has really done so much to keep us looking good and feeling good and following up and everything. So I feel that this is an injustice to us, and I actually called her husband to solicit, you know, a reasonable man's support in having her change her mind. He told me to buzz off, and I cleaned that one up. So, Debbie, please take us home, okay? Thank you.
By all the emails that I'm always sending to you. I hope I don't drive you crazy with them. Looking at the graph beside me, you can see that the full golf membership has increased in 3 years by 40 memberships. That is a 6% increase. Single and associate have decreased their categories and are no longer sold. That's why they're lower. You know, even though our membership now is at 812, and I want for you accountants in the crowd, you know, that doesn't add up, but that's because I haven't put in the clubhouse and golf 85 participants. We still maintain our cap of golf memberships at 600. I gotta click my own slide. The membership changes during the fiscal year include an increase in the full golf initiation fee, which was effective on March 1st, from $125,000 to $140,000. So anyone that submits their full golf application now and decide to go into the Golf 85 program, they will be locked in at the $140,000, not the $125,000. The new Golf 85 program was established on January 1. It was to help integrate the full golf waitlist applicants into the club, and while they were waiting for a full golf membership. These participants pay 85% of the then current initiation fee. So they all paid 85% of $125,000. And now they're locked into that rate. They also pay 85% of all the dues. Currently, there are 29 in this program, excuse me, with a cap of 30. These participants, just so you don't worry about them taking up all your tee times, they actually can only make tee times 24 hours in advance. And in the height of season, January through April, they can't even make a tee time 24 hours in advance before 10 a.m. in the morning. so there's plenty of space for the full members. That they can participate in all the dining and all of the social activities. Now, as AJ isn't here, as Mr. Burke said, I'm going to fill in for him. Let me see if I can stand a little taller. And tell you about marketing and sales. During this fiscal year, we have welcomed 24 new social members and 26 new full golf members. And out of that 26 full golf members, there are 3 social members that had upgraded. They just enjoyed the club so much and wanted to be able to play more golf. We will be continuing with Pipeline Marketing Company for lead generations and brand awareness. And we will continue to focus on the new communities in our area and buildings around us, including the Ritz-Carlton residences and the 2 Colony Infinity Towers. Now, I want to leave you with a very interesting fact. The average time for first contact to joining is 1.9 years for a full golf member and 1.5 years for a social membership. I thought you'd enjoy that little statistic. And I thank you very much. And now I'm going to turn over to Strategic Planning, Nancy Loomis.
Thank you, Debbie, and we are going to miss you, no question about it. I think if you were listening, you heard many times that the words strategic plan were mentioned. Everyone, every board member, every committee that we have has worked this year on the strategic plan that was prepared for this year from your survey and from what you wanted to see happen with the club. Everyone took it seriously, and every committee has been committed to carrying out what the strategic plan is and has been for this fiscal year. I want to, first of all, thank my committee members who have done a terrific job in working on this, and I'd ask you to please stand when I call your name. We have Jim Bezzaretti, I know Jim's here, Sue Majorana, Sue's here as well, Don Oldnixon, Don's here, and Jean Rush. Noreen Thomas is also on the Strategic Planning Committee, but was unable to be here this afternoon. As to what is the Strategic Planning Committee is responsible for, we create a new strategic plan every year, and we'll be creating one for the 2025-26 year using the information from the Nest Membership Satisfaction Survey as our guide. Now, you all did receive or should have received that satisfaction survey, and we sent those out in March. And Steve, did we meet our magic number of 700? I'm sorry, not yet. Okay, so we may be extending. Last year we had over 1,000 members who answered the survey. This year we're trying to get to 700 to make it statistically significant. And so look in your email inboxes, and if you have not yet completed the survey, and this is everyone, every member, every social member, every primary, every secondary full golf member, you all receive that. And we really, this is the basis of how we make what you want to see happen. So I think that the important thing that you need to know is we are also responsible for monitoring the progress and completing the goals from this year's plan, from the 2024-25 plan. This isn't something that we put together and then just put in the bottom drawer of a desk. This is something that all the committees have worked on all year long. The purpose of the strategic plan is to develop a roadmap that will focus on completing items to complete the goals that we have set based on your input. We're also better able, with the strategic plan, to enable the board, management, and the staff to work together toward our common goals. The planning process this year is a little different from the process last year. You may remember that we had focus groups starting in December and then had the survey that was based on information from the focus groups. This year, we're using our current plan as a guide, as a basis for the resulting strategic plan that we will prepare. And the new survey that I've just discussed has been distributed to all the club members. The Strategic Planning Committee is going to meet with all of the committees. We'll discuss the survey results with them and prepare the committee strategies, goals, and actions based on the survey results. And that follows what we did last year as well. We will again create very specific and measurable actions with a target time frame within which those actions should be completed. And we will prepare a new 25-26 strategic plan for review by and approval of the board. That will be coming out either sometime this summer or certainly by the beginning of fall. But since we haven't had enough members take the survey yet, we can't begin that process. I want to thank our General Manager, Steve Mulvaney, for working with the board, the committees, and the staff to achieve the goals that we have set forth in our current strategic plan. Now, Steve is going to give an overview of what has been achieved this year as measured by our plan. Steve, thank you all.
Thank you very much. So the Board of Governors and Strategic Planning Committee have outlined 8 operational areas to enhance member satisfaction, improve operational efficiency, and align with the club's mission and vision. So I'm just going to quickly highlight the key areas. They're up on the screen. It might be hard to read, but I'll go over the 8 operational areas. So golf course, we improved golf course conditions and member communication, status 80% on the scorecard of what's been completed. Dining, enhanced dining experiences and member integration, status 88%. Golf activities, enhanced golf experience, communication and tournaments, 98%. Now I'm abbreviating all this. There's a lot more. I could spend a lot more time on this, but I know you've been here probably a little bit too long. Membership, improved transparency and new member integration, 88%. Facilities, maintain and upgrade facilities, 68%. The reason that's at 68%, and some of these other ones are lower. Some of these we're moving into this year, so we're having to move some of our projects a little later. Finance, strengthen financial planning and member communication, status 71%. Administration, build high-performing team and operational excellence, 82%. And then the board, implement strategic planning, enhance member communication. Again, some of these, it says 65%, but some of these we're moving into this next year. Some of them are some of our medium and long-range plans. We're going to be moving out a little bit. So overall, the action plans that are completed are 80%, which is pretty high. I mean, it was a big group of action items that they had to accomplish, and they've done a tremendous job of the board and the team has done a great job of achieving those. And as a part of the feedback process, We now survey our staff annually. Overall, I'd like to say the Nest is a very strong employee culture here. Their Net Promoter Score, which means what it means when an employee basically tells us another employee that they'd like to work here, it's a great environment, 82%, which is pretty high. Benchmarks in most hospitality is somewhere between 15 and 20%, which is usually pretty low. So we want to continue to enhance the employee work environment and employee satisfaction, which involves also will help your satisfaction because they're doing a better job, they're enjoying where they work. And finally, again, I'd like to just thank the board and the team for all the work that they've done. I've enjoyed it, my 7 months, I think I'm here 7 months now, so I've enjoyed it being here and look forward to further my career here. Now, moving on to question and answers. We were given 5 questions and some of the team will help me answer those. The first is from a 20-year member wrote, I don't recall the golf course being closed as frequently as it had been recently. Could you share with me about why additional time is now needed for maintenance? I'll let Jason go ahead and talk about that.
Great, thanks, Steve. So really, as far as course closure goes, we've always, I'm going on 19 years next month, believe it or not. So we've been closed on Mondays for several years now. One of the issues we were having is in the past is with consistency. And this came from you as a survey. Course conditions, overall member satisfaction while playing. So in the previous years, these Monday closures started going away. Something happened, an event needed to be changed, and all of a sudden we go a month with really no time to do any work on either course. So this came from that. It started with the golf and the greens committee. Question was Wednesdays. Data-wise, and Shaw, you can back me up on this, but statistically, Wednesday was the least busiest day. So by giving tee times back on a Monday and taking a Wednesday until 3 o'clock, that also created golf events in the afternoon for 3 o'clock shotguns. So that's how we got to Wednesday, and if you notice up there, you're looking at 6 Wednesdays, January through April, in our busiest time. So I'd like to thank the golf committee really for starting this, but also because we're sticking to it. And the feedback, at least from our committee, is the course conditions, and we've been able to really stay consistent with things that we're able to accomplish. So I listed some things up here, mowing agronomic practices. These are things that we can do on one Wednesday for 8 hours. We can aerify the greens, edge the greens, double roll them, double vertic cut them, double cut them, top dress, brush, water. And a Monday morning before 10, we were able to get maybe a third of that. So also dry cuts for tees, approaches, fairways. 1, you get a better quality cut when you can mow in the afternoons. And 2, there's less staff to use with blowers behind. And really it all comes down to no play disruption for you during this stuff. We're able to mow rough in 1 day. Mowing rough is one of the biggest labor. Imagine how busy the golf course is. We don't mow on Tuesdays on the course with the shotgun. So it takes us almost 3 days per course to mow rough every week. So on these Wednesday closures, not only are we mowing that course the entire day, so there's no blowers, you played through 3 holes of grass clippings and we haven't caught it to you yet. But also we were able to combine the staff and the equipment on that Monday, Tuesday, and on the other course. So we're being much more efficient as well. But overall, it's about improving the golfing experience. And then details, I know a lot of times it's frustrating because my guys, it's either they will sit too much or they work too much and they don't pick their head up. And so edging bunkers, all the edging details, curbs, car paths, screening areas, yardage blacks, all of these things we're able to accomplish in an 8-hour span. And this year it's been fantastic. So this was a trial for us. We are going to go back this summer and we look at the calendar, get with the golf committee, look at the numbers, but I believe right now the numbers I've seen from November to February were basically flat from last year. So it's not like we've lost a lot of rounds now. I do understand that those who play those days every week, that's something we have to consider as both committees. So hopefully that answers that question. Okay, stay here.
A total of 5 questions.
5 questions are all for you. It's a golf club.
One of the members said, I feel that the fairways are being cut quite short. Is there a specific guideline in the grounds crew follows for grass height? If so, would it be possible to review it and consider whether any adjustment to our maintenance practices might be better?
Certainly. So the Greens Committee, we review the standards manual every year. That's part of us. And it also goes through the golf department as well. So right now our current standards manual, we mow is standards 3/8 to 5/8, which equals 0.375 to 0.625 of an inch. So our current height right now on Hurricane is 0.525, so it's basically right in the middle. And Gator this year, because we fought the salt spray and the off types and trying to get one more year out of it, we are actually at our max of 0.625. So yes, these are all in standards manually. Yes, they are reviewed annually.
There was a question about the reclaimed water project, but I think you've answered that in your previous notice. This one's for Chaw. You might need to answer this. I've noticed the practice range is in rough condition with some areas having little or no grass. Is there a reason we are being placed on these spots rather than on the mats? I recently hosted guests and felt the range didn't reflect the standards of our club. Would it be
Just
possible?
rolling back, and sometimes, as we've seen in January, we had that cold spell where the grass didn't recover as much. So it's something that we'll continually we'll be assessing and making adjustments to our monthly grass and mat rotation schedule on the tee sheet. Yeah.
Last question.
Wait before you name
Will the major projects planned for the upcoming fiscal year, particularly those exceeding $250,000, be reviewed? And so I'm going to go over a few of those projects that we're anticipating in the next couple of years, next 3 years. They're going to be looking at short game facility. They're going to be looking at driving range improvements, lake bank erosion we talked about a little later. That's going to continue. The golf shop, we're going to be looking at a golf shop update. Now these are just projects, again, not anything that we have planned yet, but the Strategic Planning Committee is going to be looking at it with the Board of Directors. And it was a question, someone says, hey, what are you thinking about as far as projects go? And then again, this back patio. So that's the conclusion of questions. I want to thank everybody for coming today. Thank the board and the team for answering the questions and going through the reports. This is the first time my team has done this and come up and done these. I think they did a really terrific job. So thank you for that.